Yeah. The commission meeting to order. Let's bow our heads for an invocation, please. Father in heaven, tonight we ask that your presence be with us tonight in this meeting. We are having some issues that need to be discussed, and we pray that it will be dealt with appropriately and with decorum. We thank you for the watch care that you've given over this city, and we pray that you will continue with that care in thy name. Amen. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Present.
Commissioner Hanson,
Present.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Lamb.
Here. You had in your packet that we have received the minutes from our September 19 commission meeting minutes. Are there any corrections that need to be made?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. You also had the workshop minutes of September 26. Are those okay?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Our next item is comments from our citizens, and before we start, this time is set aside to hear from those who want to share concerns to the city about something other than the ordinances that we'll be discussing later. That public hearing will be held 2 weeks from tonight, and I'm asking you to hold your comments in regard to those until that meeting. And tonight, if you have something that you want to share or concern, otherwise, we'd be happy to hear you. If you do approach the microphone, give us your name and your address. This portion of it will be allowed no more than 10 minutes. And I'll ask someone over there, Sam or someone, to time it for us, please. Seeing no one approach the mic, we'll go on with our agenda. Thank you. Unfinished business, well, it's too late. I've already started on. Thank you. Our new business is the first reading of ordinance 1112. Would you read that caption, please?
An ordinance to amend the official zoning map to rezone certain properties from AG Agricultural District to R1L Low Density Single Family Residential, more particularly described as Hamilton County Tax Map 132, Parcel 053, and Hamilton County Tax Map 132, Parcel 054, said properties being located within the corporate limits of Collegedale, Tennessee.
So we received a revised traffic study last month that was placed on the website with taking into account both school and the reduced number of units in the revised PUD plan. The plan as it stands now received a staff recommendation for approval and a planning commission recommendation for approval with the following conditions. Gross density shall not exceed 1.26 dwelling units per acre or 512 dwelling units. West side condition, only single-family detached house.
Weigh in. Could you speak into the microphone a little bit? Some of them can't hear you.
West side condition, only single-family detached homes shall be allowed to be constructed. West side condition, all single-family homes are to be constructed on the west side of the tributary of Little Wolf Teever Creek and shall be located no closer than 75 feet to the existing right-of-way of Edgemond Road. West side condition, a minimum of 20% of the land area to be set aside for community space. East side condition, only single-family detached homes shall be allowed to be constructed. Along the right-of-way of Edgemond Road for the development, there shall be a single row of evergreen and deciduous 2-inch caliper trees planted at approximately 25 feet on center, except as required to construct primary, secondary, and utility entrances and exits. A minimum of 30% of the land area to be set aside for community space east of Edgemond Road. Ingress egress shall be through Edgemond Road. Edgemond Road shall be improved to accommodate the development as approved by the city engineer. No building permits or certificates of occupancy shall be issued prior to the city engineer's approval of the proposed low-pressure sewer system and/or the city of Collegedale approves the connection of such a system to its sewer system. Curb, gutter, catch basins, streetlights, and sidewalk to be installed per subdivision construction plans approved by the city engineer. Street lighting may be achieved by mailbox-oriented lighting, which if utilized would be maintained by the HOA. Existing trees shall be preserved to the greatest extent possible. And the Collegedale Board of Commissioners approval of ordinance 1113 of a planned unit development overlay and accompanying site plan also affecting the subject property referenced herein. Additionally, the applicant is present.
Is this available to the citizens?
Yes, those were the minutes that you approved earlier this evening from the previous planning commission on the city website.
City website.
The Planning Commission meeting minutes are also on the website if you want to review those. I think all of the commissioners here have had an opportunity to watch the videos and hear the comments from the citizens on those 2 planning meetings that have been involved with it. And we do appreciate the comments, and whether, some of you are gonna be pleased, some of you will not be pleased. And I just hope that we can work on this together.
So does Mike want to say anything tonight? Or you good?
I'm happy to if I need to, but I think the issue's pretty well discussed up to this point. If we need to, we can discuss it more in 2 weeks.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission?
I'll make one just brief. I took the opportunity to drive down and to observe several of the communities which Empire is involved in from the ground floor up. And I also took the opportunity to talk with people that were employed, that took Empire to build things in their cities and so forth. And I'm not saying that my voice is already, or my vote is already agreed upon, but I am going to say they do a top-notch job from what I saw. And so this community, if the commission so plans for it to move forward, I will say it is going to be an asset. It's not going to look like a rundown mill, and it will not tear down property value. It'll build it up. As a matter of fact, the cities that I went to in Atlanta and Alpharetta, they said they are all going to hire the people. They've already got contracts with them to build more in their city areas because they are beautiful. They're very, what I liked about them, to be honest with you, and I'm going back and reviewing my notes and stuff, they are very community-minded. There was a lot of greenery, and the trails and stuff through the communities were open, accessible to everyone, you know. And what I saw, I liked, but I'm still looking, if that makes sense. But I wanted to see firsthand. I sat in the commission meetings, in the planning commission meetings. I sat in the back. Sometimes I sit in the middle, but I was here for at least 3 of them, just to observe and to hear what the people had to say. So I started researching some of those facts. You know, try to educate myself so I can make a good choice, good decision. That's all I've got to say.
Any other comments or questions you want to ask?
Mayor, it'd probably be a good idea to explain to the folks who maybe haven't been here before what the procedure is on this. This is done, this rezoning and the overlay is done by ordinance, which requires 2 readings, one at this meeting and then one at the meeting that will be held in 2 weeks, where there will be the public hearing. So anything that happens tonight, one way or another, if it is approved, there's still a second reading and time for people to be heard. But state law requires there to be two meetings for this to be considered.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions from the commission?
Are you ready to move on to the next one?
We will vote on this one.
We need to.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the first reading. Any further questions or discussion?
I would like to make one statement in regards to the education in the schools. I'm retired from Hamilton County after over 20 years of experience. I'm still teaching, but my kids went to the county schools. I understand there's a concern about overcrowding. As being a teacher, I understand that, and I've lived it for over 30 years. However, the county is the one that provides the educational buildings and so forth, and it's based on population. The monies that come from schools is where your school boards approve the funding for it. They get the funding from the state and the county commissioners are the ones that appropriate the funds to the Department of Education in Hamilton County off of Hickory Valley Road. And then they are the ones that designate the money to whether or not their commission is to build schools or not. If the population goes up, they have to provide schools for that area. People are going to continue to have children. I prefer to have no more than 20 kids in a classroom, depending upon their age. Okay? There's state laws, federal laws that we have to go by when it comes to footage per student. And so Hamilton County has a lot, they have to challenge. Like I said, I've had as many as 32, 33 kids in my room when there should have only been 20. But due to financing, due to monies and how they're allocated, the commission here does not allocate monies for the Department of Education because we do not furnish it. The schools are underneath the county's domain. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is their responsibility by law that they have to provide an education for the students. So therefore, they supply the monies. So if you have a concern about that, and I voiced mine as a teacher before, go to your board, go to your unions, and for lack of a better word, give heck to the Department of Education Board of Commissions, because they're the ones that control the money. Okay? So that's where you need to go for that. Now, they have to provide an education, so therefore schools should come about. It still goes through the same processes they have to go through, finding land, paying, and all that sort of thing. But they need to know your vote. They need to know what your concerns are at that level, because they're the ones that allot that money for new schools. Okay?
I would like to interject something before we vote. If this property was city-owned property, this discussion would be a lot different. But because property rights are so sacred in the state of Tennessee, and the right of the property owner is protected, the individual property right is protected. It requires us to follow the law. If this was spot zoning, there would be a different case to be presented. But because property adjacent to the property and in the community, and the precedent set by this board by rezoning and approving property in Appleton and off Bill Reed Road, the commission, or my vote, I feel, is in particular a yes vote because of the rights that are allotted to the property owner. I don't think that I myself would be happy if the city commission, 5 people came in and told me what I could or couldn't do with my property. And I don't think anyone here would like that done to themselves as well. I know that it impacts everybody, but we are a part of a community. We are in a city, which is a suburban area of Chattanooga. It is an urban area. It is not a rural area like Inglewood or Etowah or Ocoee or Benton. So understand where we're coming from is that Tennessee property rights are some of the most sacred property, or some of the most sacred property rights in the nation, which is a great thing, but it's a two-edged sword. And this is when the other side of the sword's edge shows its face. And so that's the reason why I'll be voting yes tonight, and why I moved to approve it was because state law is clear. Our staff has done everything. The developer has met all of the requirements of the city to make this one of the best developments that Collegedale has ever seen. I've heard that there are other people who wanted to do other things with the property that were wanting to purchase it that would have not been so fun for the surrounding communities. So we can be thankful that the current property owners were looking out for the city of Collegedale by selecting the prospective buyer that they chose. And so that's the reason why I will vote yes. And I move the previous question.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on ordinance 1112. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson,
Before I vote, let me just say that I'm the new kid on the block here. I'm filling in for Phil Garver, who moved out of the city limits of Collegedale, thus had to leave the commission. I had no idea what I was getting in for when I took this 3-month appointment. But I was here 8 years ago, from 2006 to 14, I was on the commission, and we had an issue back in those days that was very, very controversial. And, I thought one controversial issue was enough for a commissioner, but getting into 2 of them. And I have spent a lot of time looking over the minutes of the planning commission, talking to different people, and there are a lot of, and I feel the same as the emails that I got from people that were very uncomfortable with us moving ahead in this direction, but there are two sides to every story. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Two sides to every story, and it's very complicated, and it's a tough decision for me, but I'm going to vote yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Our next item is ordinance 1113. Would you read that caption, please?
An ordinance to approve a planned unit development overlay for certain properties more particularly described as Hamilton County Tax Map 132, Parcel 053, and Hamilton County Tax Map 132, Parcel 054. Said properties being located within the corporate limits of Collegedale, Tennessee.
So this ordinance also came with a recommendation from staff for approval and a recommendation from the Planning Commission for approval with conditions, the same conditions that I previously read into the record.
Would you explain to the group what the PUD means? And if we were not to pass this particular ordinance, but the other one, how it would affect the property?
So a PUD allows some flexibility in layout and lot size, which in doing so allows them to essentially cluster the development, smaller lots a little bit closer together and leave larger portions, in this case, a minimum of 20 and 30% undisturbed. If they were to not do a PUD, just the standard agricultural zoning right now would allow 1 unit per acre, so 408 units versus the 512 that they're asking for in the PUD.
Okay.
So today, if we did not change zoning, they could have 408 homes. Is that
Correct, had you not.
And if we did not vote for this, then there would be no road improvements, no sewer improvements probably, unless the city paid for it.
The roadway improvements, the sewer improvements would be necessitated by the development, meaning that they would have to get sewer to the site, but they would do it just meeting simple access without the improvements, the roundabout, the bridge widening, et cetera.
The PUD allows the city to put restrictions around what the developer can and cannot do, correct?
Correct. A PUD is essentially a negotiated agreement between the developer and the city over what the project will exactly look like. And it's a give and take on both sides. They have smaller lots, but then there's more open space. The view shed in this case is preserved, and the upper parts of the ridge and the mountain, et cetera.
So by passing the PUD, more open space will be protected, the ridge will be protected. If it's not passed, then clear cutting could happen.
Correct.
There'd be more disturbance of the land. So this is the tool the city can use that the state gives us to get the product that we would like, correct?
Correct. And this is an additional set, in this case, of a dozen restrictions that would not be required under the standard subdivision ordinance.
Now, does this lock Empire into the agreement with us? Any changes? Can they do changes after this?
So the PUD is not developer specific. It runs with the property. Any changes outside of these 12 conditions would have to come back through Planning Commission, the public hearing there, and the City Commission twice to be lifted or changed. For instance, the 1.26 dwelling units per acre. If Empire sold the property, that would still be the maximum density on the entire property.
So future development would be required to use this particular PUD?
Correct, regardless of ownership.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? No, it's out of order. It was just for the commissioners, sorry. You will 2 weeks from tonight, you will. No, we have another vote.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Okay, to make it clear, 2 weeks from tonight, there will be a public hearing. And so if you have any comments, bring them 2 weeks from tonight, or you're welcome to send those by email to any one of the 5 of us commissioners. Okay, we'll go on with our agenda, approval of an airport advisory board.
All right, good evening. So the airport would like to present the updated Airport Advisory Board guidelines to include a commissioner that is appointed by the mayor, as well as 4 at-large members. Those members include Tony Walker, Alan Robertson, Jay Jolly, and Franklin Farrow. The Airport Advisory Board will meet monthly with myself, as well as quarterly with the Director of Airport Operations and the City Manager. It was also concluded that because the Airport Advisory Board reports only to the City Manager, the meetings will not be required to be advertised or minutes required to be taken. So given the changes that were recommended as well as implemented, it would be my recommendation to approve this.
Second.
Any questions?
So there
Comments?
will be meeting notes.
So there will, because of the conclusion that was made, there will not be minutes.
Not be- Okay.
There will not be minutes.
All right.
But the commissioner that's there can bring
Sure.
information back to the.
Yeah, and I think I
Commission
think
board.
this is a good move for the airport. I think that they need a voice. I think that there's a lot of people that invest a lot of money in planes, and they haven't had a big voice in the city, and I think this gives them the opportunity. They've got a kind of a future they want to see the airport go, and with your direction at this point, I think it's a good decision.
May I ask a question, please? It's just more or less to clarify in my head.
Yeah.
Those that you have appointed, you counted 4, right? And then who runs the meetings, the board, between the 4?
So
Trying to decide, like, if you have a decision y'all have to make, the majority rules, 4 would not be a majority.
This is an advisory-only
Yeah.
committee. There would not be any
Yeah.
decisions made.
That's where I'm getting confused.
So they have no authority to spend money.
Okay,
They can basically say, here's a list we'd like to see accomplished.
yeah, anything that's discussed will be collected by me, which will ultimately be presented.
and then you'll bring it to us.
Correct.
Okay, I can handle that.
Any additional comments?
I'll move to approve. Oh, Larry done that, did he?
Larry?
I'll second it.
Already second.
Oh, never mind. I'm
I
saying
just
that.
messed them up.
Somebody withdraw myself.
No, I just don't need to
You're-
sit next to
you're-
Debbie anymore. So
You're a vote behind.
I'm-
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is the purchase of a truck for Building and Codes Director.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to present to you a sales quotation from Ford of Murfreesboro, state contract number 75348, for approval in the amount of $43,572 for a new 2023 Ford F-150 crew cab four-wheel drive pickup for Building and Codes Director.
Is this one we have to wait for to come? Did it
Probably be
take this long?
December, January, so it's not too bad of a wait. The whole reason for this vehicle is the one John's driving is currently a 2000 Jeep Cherokee. It's got 156,000 miles, formerly the airport Jeep, and it's kind of extended its useful life. The Expedition I've been driving will be passed down to the Building and Codes Assistant, and then I'll be driving this vehicle that's being requested of you.
So I hate to say this, I'm not going to try to offend you, but I'm just always wondering why directors get the new vehicles versus the guys out in the field going in the mud, doing all the work. I just don't get that sometimes.
It varies by department. For instance, the new trucks that were purchased for Public Works did not go to the director this
Yeah,
last year.
I understand, but it seems like he's out in the field doing more stuff. And I think you're more of an office type person, right?
It varies. Here lately, it has been more in the office, but I have extensive visits out in the field as well, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner White.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Nay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay.
Thank you.
Reports from our city administration.
Nothing to add tonight.
Commissioner White,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Hanson,
Nothing.
Commissioner Baker,
I'll pass.
Vice Mayor.
I would like Eric to come up here and describe the changes to the new Absent Pike T-Dot. What's changed in the last 48 hours? Because the routes have changed, correct?
They will be changing this Saturday. Yes, good evening. I sent an email earlier out to y'all as well as city staff, and we posted on the website, social media and everything. TDOT is going to be doing several changes coming this Saturday throughout the day. I think the biggest change is going to be the current alignment of Apison Pike. So as you're coming, if you're leaving City Hall, going towards southern McKee area, when you come to the four-way stop, you turn left currently and bear right over the train tracks. The new alignment, you'll be going straight through across the new bridge to a traffic light, turning right, and you'll stay on that new alignment till you get close to the research center heading towards the airport. You'll merge back into the old Apison Pike. Vice versa, if you're coming from the airport to City Hall, you'll be on the old Apison Pike. You'll merge onto new Apison Pike, follow through the two traffic signals, and then turn left. Along with this new changing pattern on that day, they're also going to open the connection to Tucker Road. So if you're trying to go to Tucker Road or Spalding Drive, when you come to that three-way red light at New University Drive Bridge, you'll go straight, and then, 1,000 feet up the head, you'll see a right turn onto Tucker Road, or continue straight and make a little left down Spalding Drive. That'll be the new access to Spalding Drive.
College Drive East?
College Drive East, they're also going to be closing that around the same time on Saturday, and it'll be closed for about 500 feet right there at Apison Pike to the back entrance there to McKee Plant 2. They're going to be redoing that intersection, dealing with the railroad and utilities to get that reworked for the new connection. They are saying about 3 to 4 weeks to get that completed.
And will they continue, they will finish the bridge because it's not as wide as it's supposed to be, is that correct? Aren't they gonna make it wider, the bridge right there?
Yes, correct. They're still working on that. But they'll have 2 lanes open to maintain current traffic flow.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
Okay, any questions?
Definitely will be different.
It's going to be a big shock at first, yes. Just like when we have been traveling on the old new sections, it was a big hurdle. There was probably a dozen different cars going around barrels in different ways. So I would expect anyone driving on that Saturday, even all the way maybe through that following Wednesday, keep your eyes out, watch for people that are going slow or don't know where they're going per se, because drivers nowadays, they're half on their phones, they're not paying attention. So you just drive cautiously and keep an eye out.
So is the date to be completed, has that changed at all?
It has not shifted as of yet, no.
Remember Tucker
What do you
Road?
mean by the date to be completed?
It's totally complete. 24,
Yes, into 24.
and I just keep hoping we can get TDOT to do their job on Tucker Road.
Yeah.
They have absolutely made it a mess.
What about the, I'm changing the subject, but what about the update on the Little Debbie Commons Park here? Do we have anything new or current?
The contractor is wrapping up what they're able to do, and then will be demobbing until the heavy timbers become available, still approximately March of next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Debbie, what was that?
About the Little Debbie's Park that's building next door at the Commons, like the progress of it moving on,
Okay.
because it seemed like it was a standstill for a long period of time. So we're still thinking March.
okay.
That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Anything
Thank you.
else?
No,
Vice
that's all.
Mayor? I didn't know about it until a couple of days ago, but the candidates that you will be voting on in November is having a debate over at the Commons for those of you that would like to go listen to them. I guess it's there. I don't know. It wasn't published, so someone had told me it was.
My understanding it is currently going on.
Okay. That's all I have. I appreciate the audience and cooperation, and we'll look forward to hearing from you 2 weeks from tonight.
Move to adjourn.
Are we good, buddy? Shall be cool, baby.